Outer Edge Games.
Hello everybody. This is Sketchbook Pro. We are going to be trying to sketch out some stuff because I'm planning to upload my first basic game to Board Game Geek, and I would like to obviously have some artwork for it, because just uploading a block of text probably is not my best bet to get people to pay attention. What we got here is we have the start of our building. Let's rotate that a bit, make it easier to sketch onto, and let's start working on that and cleaning it up as we go. So I want to round the corners here a bit. And we'll round the corner there. We're going to come in here. I think that's pretty close to what I want to do with it. Yeah, this looks a little bit wonky up here now though, so we'll bring you down a little bit. Maybe bring you out a bit more. Let's grab our soft eraser. Let's clean up our edges here a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Maybe that needs a hard eraser. Yeah, that's helping a little bit more. Now we can jump back to soft to clean these up a little bit. Just lightly erase them so there's still a bit of presence there. Back to our pencil. And we are going to put some windows in here now. But we are going to put in two giant round windows. On this side we're going to do one giant round window. And up top here I think we're going to do, let's do 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they're totally out of shape and size with each other. Actually, yeah, that one down there is pretty bad. So maybe we'll just make this one bigger instead of the other one smaller. So does this look like anything to anybody yet? Can you tell what I am, does this look like anything? Kind of rounded edges here a little bit. Some rounded pieces in the middle. Things that look like pips, kind of, if that triggers anyone's thought processes. Now this here is going to be a little bit different because we're doing it like that. Kind of throws off all my perspective everywhere with everything, but that's okay. Yeah, that top one doesn't look right. These look fine. Where would those ones be then? Let's see, I think they're at the top edge, actually. Yeah, because we're cutting perspective-wise. You see the bottom edges here, which means up here you should see these top edges here, I think. I think that looks better. Yeah, because you wouldn't see the bottoms there, but you'd be able to see these top edges here of if this was a circle you were cutting into an object. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, that's a die. A single die. And then we're going to do another one down here. That's a little bit wonky, should be a bit straighter there. I gotta get my ruler involved soon. Yeah, it's a single die because this is for a game I'm working on called. Where's my pencil? The game I'm working on called Tower of Dice. Tower of Dice, yes. Very simple game. It is a game you do not even need to buy anything for, assuming you're an avid board gamer and have a selection, quite a large selection, of dice. The genesis of this game, the history of it, for any of you who know me, you know I've been kind of recently into game design all of a sudden, and I've come up with quite a few games, basically, all of which will require, I should say, people to buy things, right? You have to buy whatever set of stuff it is to make the game function. This game, you do not. As of yet, I'm sure maybe eventually I will have something, but right now it's just going to be a rule sheet. And why, you might ask, just a rule sheet? Because it is the least barrier to entry for someone to play a game, is to just read a sheet of rules and pick up and play at home. And I think that's a great way to get my name out there and get some people maybe interested in things. It is a very, very simple game in principle. I'll get to that in a minute, what the game actually does. But just to explain quickly, this came on the heels of listening to, what's that called? Board Game Design Labs, listening to that podcast. And the question was, the question I asked myself, I should say, they were talking about games, and they were mentioning things like the different types of games, dice games, dexterity games, this game, that game, right? So I knew what some of the games were. I knew what a deck building game was. I knew what believe it or not, I knew what a dice game was, right? Like Yahtzee, that was their best example, was Yahtzee is a dice game. It's not called a dice game, it's got a proper name, but basically you roll dice to and then you pick from those dice to do your thing in the game, whatever that happens to be. So when I heard that, I heard that and I thought, okay, that's fun. I came up with some ideas for that I'll go over at some other point in one of my presentations somewhere with something. But anyways, I heard all that and I thought that's interesting. That's something, sounds like something I could do. And then I heard about dexterity games. And I thought, well, what the heck is a dexterity game? That sounds like something you do with your hands. Something to prove how dexterous you are, right? That just makes sense, no? Like it's obvious that's what it would be. But being the simple-minded person I am, I had no idea. So I looked it up. And sure enough, that's exactly what it is. It's a game you do something with your hands. The best example of that I can think of is Jenga. I guess Connect 4, anything like that. I guess Connect 4 is more mental. You don't have to, it's not like a skill of your dexterity. But I think anything that you manipulate with your hands that you incorporate like that is considered a dexterity game. So a dexterity game is something that requires you to prove how dexterous of a person you are. In other words, you have to do something physical in the real world with real world objects that proves you can manipulate space, basically. So the space around you, the world around you. So I had never made a dice game before. I haven't made any game technically yet, but anyways, I had never made a dice game before. I never made a dexterity game and just found out what one was. So I thought, why not marry the two and make something out of both of them? And there was born Tower of Dice. The main gameplay of Tower of Dice is rolling dice. So, like dot, right? So, you roll dice. You roll one die at a time, I should say. It's a two-player game minimum. You play with at least two other people. You roll one die. You take that one die, and whatever number it is now the foundation of your tower. So, for example, I will zoom out here and show you what I mean. I roll a slew of dice. I roll one die. I come out with a 4. The bottom of my tower now has a die on it, where the top of that die is the number 4. Right? Here's my die. Lovely die. It's got a 1 on that side, let's say. My opponent does the same. We do this simultaneously. They roll their die and they put their foundation down. I have to roll another die and keep rolling 4s. And every time I roll a 4, I stack it on top. And I stack it on top. And I stack it on top. Every time I roll a 4. The goal of the game is to get the highest tower you can without your tower falling over or knocking over your opponent's tower. So if my tower falls over, I start again from 0. I re-roll my foundation, whatever that number might be, and I start building a new tower based on that. If my tower falls over and knocks over my opponent's tower, I have now lost the game. If it's a 2-player game, my opponent wins. If it's a more than 2-player game, I have lost, my opponent starts again from the foundation building up. And there you have it. Very simple, very easy in theory. I'm assuming in practice it should be difficult because stacking die is difficult and hard. It's just 6-sided die. I didn't want to get into any other polyhedral stuff. I thought that was a little bit more complex. A few slight game variations for this because, everyone wants to know what else they can do with it. So the basic one is you stack the same number. Just makes it simple, easy. It's kind of straightforward. Anyone can play it. They just have to match the number. I think one of the other variations that would work would be if you had to stack a number that was one higher or one lower than the current one. That way, it's not that it's real math involved, but at least it's a bit of more of a thinking process than just looking at the same number. A third yet variation is you have to stack the number face down. So if you roll a 4, the flip side of a 4 on a die is what? I can let you know. The flip side of a 4 is a 3. So you would then have to match a 3. So each layer of your die you're stacking, is going is alternating numbers between 3 and 4 then. So that's a bit of the challenge of it, is remembering what number am I on. Yes, it's not incredibly challenging. Yes, it's not going to be like a game you cannot possibly win. But I think for a quick pick up and play game, it should be pretty fun. Very simple rule set. Just let's have a little bit of fun trying to stack things along the lines of any of those dexterity games that require you to do stuff. I think it'd be a lot of fun. If you have enough dice at home, you can. Whoops, wrong brush. If you have enough dice at home, you can play it. If you do not, Amazon sells packs of dice pretty cheap. I've got mine en route so that when they get here, I can actually try the game out before I post it on Board Game Geek. But what I'm trying to do is come up with just some rough sketch artwork that I have something to put on my rule set sheet so that it looks a little more interesting than just a bunch of text. And I think this will work, I think it'll give us a good idea. I mean, it's just a loose sketch of some die. But I think what should happen is I should probably have a person hanging out of here looking like surprised or something, right? And then I should have another person up here maybe doing something so it lends, a little bit of activity to it or whatever, right? It makes you see that something is going on, right? There's people fighting over things or whatever. What is this person doing? I don't know. And they should be, because it's Tower of Dice, maybe this guy is a wizard or something, right? There's this little wizardy hat. And he's got big flowing robes, and he's got his hand out here, and he's casting some magic thing at the guy, right? And he's coming out of this one here, and this guy here is, maybe he's let's get a neck in there, actually, and a shoulder. Maybe he's a warrior type guy, and his arm's up here, and he's got a sword or something to that effect, right? He's ready to, I guess his hand would go like this, and he's ready to do battle. There he is with his sword hanging out of here, right? Maybe his fingers are on here, like he's climbing out. Something to that effect, right? When we move down, we can do other stuff down here. Maybe hanging out of this one. I don't know. What do we have? Someone else, right? What else do we have? We have an archer. Right, so there's like a little elfy guy sticking out of here with his little pointy ears. He's leaning back, just barely holding in there, and he's got his little bow. So this arm is nice and outstretched, holding, I guess the bow's a bit further away then, holding it like that. He's got his other hand back here, pulling the strings taut. Maybe he's got one leg out. I don't know how that would work though. That doesn't look right. He shouldn't have one leg out. But there's our little elf guy in there. And yeah, so that I think, I'm hoping, would, the game in general, I'm saying I think and I hope, would be somewhat intriguing for people to play. I think it'll be a little bit of fun. I think it'll give people a few moments of enjoyment at least. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I will finish this sketch shortly. I'll probably throw some inks on it, make it look a little bit prettier than just a very loose pencil sketch. And keep an eye on Board Game Geek for this game. I will maybe be able to post a video of me playing it as well once my dice arrive. I'll give it a shot with my family and see if they'll try and play it with me and see if we can have some fun. Thanks for watching. I'll try and do more sketch stuff like this, not just related to this game, of course, but to other stuff, comics and other artwork I'm working on. But in the meantime, at least you got to see a little bit of this get created. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.